Thank you for tuning in with Enchantress. That's me, the babbler. That's me on this evolutionary high of an uprise at this time. This is take number 3. Not that you would know the difference of this, but for me that's good, because usually after take number 1 doesn't work, I usually do not even move on to take number 2. So that is improvement. Yes, it is. So if you check me out on Instagram at Enchantress, ENCHANTRESS, you will see that on my Instagram story I post a pick a card reading. Card 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pick a card reading using the Ancestral Oracle of the Celts cards, calling on your ancestors for guidance and help and healing. So this is a really cool, exciting little pick a card that I'm excited to take part in. These cards are in regards to the divine ancestors, divided into matriarch and patriarch archetypes. They're also divided into the suits of truth, honor, sovereignty, and wisdom, and each one is based on a category of Celtic society: farmers, warriors, nobles, and artists and craftspeople. So the question that is being posed here for 1, 2, 3, 4 is, what current energies are you connecting with that the ancestors can bring into light that will offer you further insight into this current now moment in your life? I have to say current now moment. I don't want to say choose the card that is representative of your life purpose energy, because we have many life purpose energies. But your current one at this time, like, what are you currently facing at this time, enduring at this time, experiencing at this time energetically, that one of these cards can offer you further insight into that journey, or help to take away or put light, some weight that is heavy or burdensome in some kind of way. Because as you know, spiritual light workers, or people that are here evolutionizing and growing and expanding and rising in their own lines, know that it takes a lot of work. And so, with that bearing in mind, choose the card that speaks to you, mind, body, heart, and soul, that is going to be representative and offer you the insight that you need, to gift you the wisdom that you seek. So this is pretty cool. So without further ado, let us begin too, because we have to. Alright, so if you chose card number 1, card number 1, 306, 307. Here we go. Card number 1. If you selected card number 1, here we go. You have the Prince. So you have the Prince that is half of a prince, who has to prove himself as a prince. You have a prince carrying a heavy load in life. You have a prince that is going through so many trials and tests and tribulations and rising to every occasion, and it's just like, one is this rough rider the rugged prince, the worthy prince, the more handsome prince, the more, the more beautiful, kinder princess. This is not gender specific, so let's be mindful of that here, because this has nothing to do with gender specifics. This is an energy in itself. So the key word here too, study, putting into practice all the work that you put in. It's time to undergo, or it has been undergoing, the test that puts up your aptitudes to task, examinations, trials, interviews, studying. That's the only way forward it has been for you. If you love what you do, the outcome will be self-evidently successful. Okay? So the Prince. the story of the prince, destined to be prominent in the affairs of his tribe. The prince studies the ways of sovereignty, but he may not necessarily become king if the tribe thinks him an unmanly wastrel. To become the instrument of the tribal will, he has to undergo all these tests. Although he is the only son of a serving woman by the king, Neil shows every promise and considerably more interest in the nature of kingship than his more nobly born half-brother. Neil submits to the artist's test that the king's druid sets. He passes all the tests, okay? He passed all the tests until, alone of all his half-brothers, he agrees to kiss the hag who guards the only source of water. Here we go. As he does this, the hag turns into the beautiful goddess of sovereignty and exclaims him as the royal successor. Neil faithfully upholds his mother's rights, and his half-brothers do homage to him. The position of this card is in the east. You cannot reserve just a portion of what you want to achieve. You have to accept all that it represents. Do not get bitter. Get better. Do not allow for the tired mind to dupe you of the blessings that will return to you sublime. Make sure your whole heart is in everything that you do, and that you know why you're doing what you're doing at this time. And is it for others, or is it for yourself? Is it self-serving, or what's happening here? Family wisdom affirmation. I make the heritage and well-being of the land my chief study. The Prince. Thank you for tuning in with Enchantress. Thank you if you chose number 1. If you like this kind of reading, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Moving on to card number 2 at this time. Thank you. 722. Here we go. Card number 2. You have the Lords of Lore. You have the Lords of Lore. You have the Lords of Lore. Card number 2. What ethical actions are needed at this time? How can you be true? This is about renewal. The energies that you master. What needs renewal? What has to be finalized or discontinued? What fear grips you? What story dispels fear? What needs to move on and what needs renewal? Might be your certain levelings of expertise, and it might be the very things that you go through in this life that help you to now see it from a different perspective. Think about all the lives you have successfully assisted, helped. The Lord of Lore is the king of the ancestors, the Celtic lord of the underworld. When the sun reaches its winter standstill, he holds the power of life and death in his hand. He seizes the necks of dragons in either hand and is not afraid to let things go. No. He helps us relinquish that which no longer serves us. He is seen in the figure of Bran the Blessed, who gives up his own life in defense of Britain. When his troops have to cross a river whose bridge has been dismantled, Bran says, "He who would be chief, let him also be a bridge." He then lies down over the river, and his men pass over his gigantic form. When the battle seems lost, he takes a mortal wound, commanding his troops to behead him and set his face toward France to ward off invasion. He continues to speak with his troops while presiding over the otherworld feast. His head sings the ancestral song continuously. It's all about renewal. Your affirmation, your family's gift that you bestow onto others. I bestow the gift of renewal. When things look dead, you can bring new life out of the dark. That is your family gift here, that you can appreciate from a different, lighthearted perspective, to know that you possess the strength to transmute many death processes and cycles, which make you valuable beyond what you maybe feel appreciated, maybe. Maybe not. For all the deaths you have assisted others through. Renewal. Thank you. I hope you like that. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. If you chose card number 2, moving on to card number 3 at 11:11. Here we go. Card number 3. If you chose card number 3 at 11:11. Here we go. The King. The King must be noble in his decisions in this world, to make sure that he does everything that is absolutely right for his people, but also for himself. Okay? Promises. If you have made a promise, it is now time to honor and keep it. Even if it's an agreement you made when times were desperate. The way you keep faith with sacred trust that you make with life determines the very nature of the life that you live. Whatever contracts or agreements stand between you and another, you now understand them better, or know what it means to be betrayed. Certain things are coming into light about certain contracts and things, conditionings, previous commitments. If there's a latitude for reconciliation, then reforge the terms anew. Maybe you need to break the mental blockages. Look at that helmet covering his head, protecting or guarding those thoughts. What are your thoughts? The King is the royal ruler who ratifies the contract with the goddess of the lands. Okay. His inauguration stone is emblematic of the land itself. His vow is to sustain good kingship by listening to the land's needs. If he ill-treats or spurns his queen, have you sliced wounds with your sword to your queen? Remember, energy is something that we have to be mindful of. This is not gender specific, for we have divine masculine energies and divine feminine energies existing within ourselves. What parts of ourselves may be on the feminine divine side that this masculine energy covers and blocks and keeps a pin, a heart. 3, this reminds me of 3 of Swords kind of card, piercing the heart. Mental blockage that keeps one from accessing their passions. If he ill-treats or spurns his queen, the land turns to wasteland, and his marriage vow will be broken. Is broken. King Lud, or Lud, is the ancient king of London who has to overcome, by his kingly strength and human guile, 3 plagues that overrun Britain. 3 plagues. Sorry. With the help of his brother Canny's advice, Lud ejects a race of otherworldly people who have infiltrated